authorities of Pakistan after a catastrophe that happened the last days. We have seen here something that never happened in Pakistan. Affected 30 million of people. 30 million of people. Many of our countries will not have altogether this population. People was displaced. 3,000 people died. Men, women, children. The economy was destroyed. Infrastructures completely destroyed. Climate change, it's real, not something academic. Not something that we can talk about in our books, that may happen one day. The consequences of climate change, it's here and affecting people like you, like many others across the world. And so, solidarity is important. And is important special to the people that suffer. The condolences to the family is important. But we need to talk also about how to help Pakistan to recover from this catastrophe. And this is one obligation of all countries of the world, especially of the developed countries, to help Pakistan to recover from this catastrophe. Because the contribution of Pakistan to climate change is too small. But the consequences are too big. And so, the biggest economies of the world that has more contributions to the climate change needs to understand they need to change for the future, and they need to help Pakistan right now. And we need to say that. We need to say that once, again, 3 times, so many times as it will be needed, until we achieve a change in our behavior, and especially a change on the behavior of the developed countries of our world. Also, this catastrophe shows that SDGs, it's real important. And I need to say thank you to you, Mr. Speaker, to the National Assembly of Pakistan for your compromise to achieve it, and for your compromise to realize this event, this seminar to the countries of the Asian Pacific Group. It happened because you are really committed to achieve the SDGs. And I saw yesterday that you have a real commitment, not just on moments of joy, but day by day, with a task force that will work every day, evaluating what are the steps that are doing, what are the results, what is needed to change, what is needed to achieve day by day, because this is a work that will be needed to be done every day. Otherwise, we will forget it, and especially the governments will forget it, because they have so many urgent issues to address. So, again, thank you so much for your commitment to organize the seminar on SDGs to the Asian Pacific Group. Also because you understand, Mr. Speaker, and your Parliament, that this task is global. You may have a real commitment, but alone the results will not be what we are waiting for, what we wish. We all live in a very small home, Our planet is our own. We need to understand that. And only if we all work together, we will preserve it. Otherwise, Pakistan may do everything that is on their hands, but the consequences will not be enough. Only with the commitment of all countries of the world, it will be possible to have a change and to achieve the SDGs. And so, it's important to organize it here to countries of Asia-Pacific group, one day in Africa to the African countries, other day in Europe to the European countries as well. And especially in this moment, it's very important to remember the commitments of our governments to achieve SDGs. Because during the last 2 years, we suffered with an awful pandemic. This pandemic showed to all of us as well how small is our world and how a small virus one day appeared in Asia and very soon cross all the borders and affect all humankind. It shows how small our world is, yes, but also it took our attention, and all our governments spread their energies to fight the pandemic, and now are waiting for a recovery of our economy. And maybe the SDGs was remain for a second stage. So it's important to come back especially in this moment to say, now that we are preparing the recovery of our economies, of our societies after the pandemic, it's very important to remember the compromise to achieve SDGs in all aspects: education, health, economy, just to give some examples. Because SDGs are important to fight inequalities, to fight poverty, to have a better world, and what we wish, happiness to the people we represent as parliamentarians. And yes, we parliamentarians, we have a special role. We have a special role because we represent the people. You represent people. And so people are waiting for your behavior to address this issue as well. When we approve the budget, when we define priorities to our own government, action, it means that we have power in our hands. It's not just to talk, it's much more than that. It's how we implement the measures that are important to achieve SDGs. I believe that during these 2 days, you will work on that. Learn with each other, share experiences, drink all the knowledge that a lot of experts will share with all of us. But after it is important, when we will come back to our countries, to do everything to implement concrete actions to achieve SDGs. I believe that will happen because we understood with also this catastrophe here in Pakistan that we need to act now. There is no tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your very enlightening address. The Parliaments of Asia Pacific, and especially Pakistan, look forward for your leading role in keeping this important issue alive. And with this, may I also draw your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to the presence of persons with disabilities in this august house. As a matter of fact, during these devastating moments, there have been incidences where persons with disabilities could not be evacuated and they were left behind. So again, these catastrophes must be taken in the spirit that we must not leave anyone behind. As we all watched the horrifying scenes of devastation brought by rains and floods across Pakistan, verses of Javed Akhtar echoed our minds. कहीं दरिया किनारे कोई बस्ती रो रही है, मैं इतनी दूर हूं और मुझको वहशत हो रही है. Somewhere on the banks of a river, a village is wailing. I'm far away, and yet I'm shivering. I request the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan and the host of the 3rd IPU Regional Seminar on Achieving Sustainable Development Goals for his inaugural address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Mr. Duarte Pechu, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Ms. Rumina Khurshid Alam, Convener National Parliamentary Task Force on SDGs, distinguished members of Parliament, and delegates from the Asia Pacific countries. Assalamu alaikum and a very pleasant good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the fellow parliamentarians from the Asia Pacific countries at the 3rd Regional Seminar for the Asia Pacific region, Parliaments on Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in our capital city, Islamabad. I also take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Mr. Duarte Pechu, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, and the entire IPU team for their tireless support to the National Assembly of Pakistan and its National Parliamentary Task Force on SDGs in jointly organizing this important seminar. The Inter-Parliamentary Union, established in 1889, remains a key institution of global parliamentary community working for its mission of inclusive democracy. The two-day international seminar will help MPs and delegates from the region to deliberate upon a wide spectrum of related thematic sessions on imperative topics such as envisioning inclusive development in the wake of socio-economic challenges of the Asia-Pacific region, climate change, hunger and malnutrition, promoting quality education and decent work for youth, and ensuring equitable access to health, and for us legislators to understand our role in ensuring effective mitigation of climate change adversities in this region. The seminar provides us a very timely opportunity to reassess the national and regional strategies towards achieving the SDGs till 2030 in wake of huge socio-economic jolt to our countries due to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially with the challenges of providing decent work, equitable health, and ensuring food security in a world marred by adverse effects of climate change in the form of extreme drought in some regions, while flash floods in others. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan hosts this crucial seminar for the Asia-Pacific nation at a critical juncture, as only a few days ago we faced record monsoon rains and melting glaciers in northern mountains that triggered floods, which have killed more than 1,300 people, displaced 33 million people, sweeping away houses, roads, railway tracks, bridges, livestock, and crops worth around 30 billion United States dollars. I would urge upon all participants to avail this opportunity to especially focus their deliberations on this grave global climate change challenge to human security. The floods come as the climate emergency continues to wreak havoc across the globe. Europe is confronting its worst drought in 500 years. China is facing an unprecedented heat wave that has dried up rivers and lakes, while in Mississippi, USA, residents were told to evacuate the city as it braces for more flooding. The Climate Change Risk Index of 2021 reports that Pakistan is ranked 8th among countries most vulnerable to climate crisis, despite contributing less than 1% to global carbon emissions. The United Nations Secretary General, Honorable Antonio, who visited our flood-ravaged areas on the weekend, said, I quote, "It is unimaginable. Today it is Pakistan. Tomorrow it could be your country. Wherever you live, this is a global crisis. It requires a global response." He identified a two-pronged strategy to prevent such catastrophic effects of climate change. Firstly, he called upon G20 countries to immediately boost their national greenhouse gas emission reduction targets every year. Secondly, the Secretary General also called for new mechanism for debt relief for climate vulnerable countries such as Pakistan. He was advocating for debt swap, in which the debtor nations, instead of continuing to make external debt payments, would make payments to finance climate projects at home. He urged for prompt action by the international community, especially the elected representative world over, as he concluded, it is a question of justice. Pakistan is paying the price of something that was created by others. The irreparable loss of precious lives and destruction of even the basic infrastructure, such as roads, houses, schools, and basic health units by the recent floods, makes it imperative for the Parliament of Pakistan to leave no stone unturned in our efforts of rescue, rehabilitation, and rebuilding. I ensure that the National Assembly of Pakistan will continue to perform a proactive role in a passionate IPU member state through consolidation of joint endeavors for strengthening the democratic tradition in Asia-Pacific region, including but not limited to introducing innovative parliamentary mechanism for institutionalizing the 2030 development agenda. The parliaments are the citadel of people's aspirations that utilize their recognized authority through numerous parliamentary tools of representation. Legislation and oversight of the executive, especially with regards to human emancipation of vulnerable strata of society. In this context, I am looking forward to this seminar's conclusive outcome for the benefits and mutual good of all people living in the Asia-Pacific region at large. Lastly, on behalf of the people and the Parliament of Pakistan, I wish success to all the learned members of Parliament from the Asia-Pacific region, the parliamentary delegations, all national as well as international dignitaries, and area experts attending the third regional seminars for the Asia-Pacific region Parliament on achieving the SDGs. I look forward and hope the outcome document of the seminar will surely provide concrete way forward on all of the crucial themes under discussion, especially with regards to the dire threat of global climate change that endangers people beyond borders and nationalities. Long live our continued passion and joint endeavors towards an integrated set of way forward for implementation of SDGs, besides the challenges posed by natural calamities, man-made disasters, and the COVID-19 pandemic. I thank you all once again, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad. Well, I have been, honorable guests, I bring into your kind notice that we have discussed with the IPU President to bring emergency agenda item at the next IPU General Assembly in Rwanda to highlight developing countries of endanger of climate change, negative effects on their economies, and responsibility of the rich nations to take corrective actions. And I am grateful to the President that he has accepted to help us to bring this agenda item. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the endeavour of bringing an emergency item at Kigali, Rwanda next month is indeed going to be a turning point for all the developing nations, and we must shed our mutual differences and join hands on this important issue so as to highlight the plight of our people, irrespective of our borders, languages, races, or our countries. With this, ladies and gentlemen, this inaugural ceremony comes to its close. We will break for tea, after which we'll reassemble in the designated committee rooms as well as in this hall for our breakout sessions. I thank you all.
नाज़रीन, पायदार तरक्याती अहदाफ के लिए एशिया पैसिफिक ममालिक का बैनुल-पार्लिमानी यूनियन